Begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. With me today on the panel are Marla Billinghurst and Lynn Nesbitt. Our assessor today is Nathan Kupfers, and our secretary today is Belen Rojo. To the participants of the hearing, please note, you're placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you'll be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You'll then be permitted to speak via Zoom with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised, the comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each application following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. So with that, we will move to the first item on the docket. And that will be 23 Borealis Bay. Could we have the swearing in of the parties, please?
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Nathan Stephen Kupfer.
You affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
David John Hanning.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Kupfer, could you lead us through your evidence, please?
Starting with number 23, Borealis Bay, roll number 0609343100. This is in the Sage Creek neighborhood area. It's a one-story single-family dwelling constructed in 2014, 1,673 square feet of living area. It does have a full basement with basement finish, 3 bathrooms, central air conditioning, a fireplace, multiple attached garage, and a sunroom. And the lot size of the subject property is just under 7,000 square feet. The 4 comparables are all close by in Sage Creek. They are all one-story single-family dwellings, similar to the subject, constructed between 2011 and 2016. The living area ranging from a low of 1,652 square feet to a high of 1,821 square feet. All have full basements. Comparables 1, 2, and 3 have basement finish, similar to the subject, while comparable 4 does not. The 3 homes that have basement finish also have 3 bathrooms, while the 4th does not. All comparables have central air conditioning. All comparables have a fireplace. All comparables have a similar garage. and only comparable 4 has the sunroom similar to the subject. Lot sizes for the 4 comparables range from a low of 5,748 square feet to a high of 8,166 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of 569,800 to a high of 606,600, or a time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of $319 per square foot to a high of $356 per square foot. Subject property was purchased by the current owner, post-reference in July 2018. It was after that purchase that basement finish and the sunroom were constructed. Due to those constructions, supplemental assessment notice was issued for the year 2020, which increased the value from $526,000 up to its current assessment at $580,000, which is what we're going to be recommending today. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Applicant, do you have questions for the assessor about this information? And at this point, we're just looking for questions for clarification. You'll have an opportunity to provide your own evidence shortly.
Well, I guess I don't have questions other than just statement. So you call it a sunroom. Our room is actually just a deck with a screen around it. Just want to make that point, I guess.
Okay, you have no other questions?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I just maybe one point if I may. I did a quick Google Street View of all those homes. So those homes look nothing like mine, as you'll see in the pictures. I just want to point out, there's custom built expensive homes and there are Qualico cookie cutter homes. And cookie cutters, those don't appear to be that to me. They look like a small builder custom built home. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Billinghurst, do you have questions of the assessor?
No questions.
Ms. Nesbitt?
Mr. Kupfer, the applicant has talked about a sunroom. So how does the assessment department define sunroom?
Well, in this case, the distinction that we make is between 3-season and 4-season.
Right.
There's, of course, additional value if it can be used year-round, if it's heated. In this case, we've added it as a 3-season sunroom, which would command a lower value than a 4-season sunroom.
So what would be the characteristics other than the heating of a 3-season sunroom? Is it a deck with screen considered that, or is that just a screen deck? Like, what is a sunroom versus a screen deck?
We would call that a sunroom. And 3-season simply means that it has no heating or cooling. It's just exposed to the elements.
Okay, so your comp 4, is that a similar type of sunroom?
1 second, I can give you a better comparison here. We have it as a similar type of sunroom. It's got a small deck off the back. Yeah, I can't say exactly if it's the same, but similar at least. It's not 4-season, otherwise we would have it characterized differently.
Okay, that's important. Okay. In terms of the lot, is it like the square footage is there, but what about the configuration of the lot? Are they all similar? Some of them I see have some influences, but what about the other two?
So the subject property is on a bay, of course, Borealis Bay. It doesn't quite back onto the water. It's basically the start of the bay, so it gets a little bit wider towards the back. Slight pie shape in that way. The other comparables, if you refer to the map there on page 2 of my brief, you can kind of get a bit of a visual on them. Comparable number 2 is also a bit of a pie shape with a wider back, similar to the subject, but no water around. It backs onto Detached Boulevard there. And then the other Three comparables all appear to be mid-block. No major influences for them.
Okay, you indicated that there was some improvements post-sale. You said that there was the deck, and what else did you say on there?
So according to our records, we had an inspection done in January 2020, according to my notes here. So when the house was sold, it had some framing done in the basement. So it appears the homeowner finished the basement, added a 3-piece bathroom, and also added the sunroom.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
While we're on the map and the location of these properties, is there any significant difference in the market in various areas within Sage Creek? Influences of La Jamodière, that sort of thing. Would any of these be affected by a local better or worse market?
Not that I'm aware of. Like any other neighborhood, if you're exposed to more traffic, you might expect to see slightly lower sale prices around that area. If you're in a quieter pocket or backing onto a lake or retention pond, you might see slightly higher prices. But in terms of the subject and these comparables, I don't see any significant difference in terms of external factors.
Could you explain the half baths and showers thing, which can be rather confusing? So for the sake not only of the board members, but for the applicants, can you explain what a half bath is and when a shower is a bathroom and when it is not a bathroom, that sort of thing?
Sure. So a half bathroom is a toilet and a sink. A half bathroom with a shower is a toilet, a sink, and just a standing shower. A full bathroom is a toilet, a sink, and a shower tub combo, or a separate tub and shower.
So if you have a walk-in shower, you call that a half bath and a shower. Two separate things, is that correct?
That's correct. It would be a half bathroom with shower.
Okay. All right. Those are all my questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Applicant, could we now have your evidence, please?
Sure. I just want to make one statement based on what he had said. You can't even see the water from my house, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm one of these great big things backing onto a retention pond. I know it's kind of around the corner there, but it's nowhere near my house. I can't see it from anywhere here. Okay, so like I said before, it's important, I think, that everybody understand this is a cookie cutter Qualico house that I live in. Most of the examples that I've used are similar Qualico type homes. It's not a custom built home by anybody else or anything like that. And I think this is also an important point. This house was originally a show home. So as a show home, there's nothing special about the inside. Believe me, I was actually surprised when we first came into it that it wasn't fancier than it is. But as a show home, the landscaping was done. There was a deck built onto the back. There was some light framing done in the basement. And according to our real estate agent, the appliances that were staged in the house were purchased. So that is tens of thousands of dollars that would have been added to the sale price of the house. Yet all the other houses around here now have the same thing. They just didn't pay for it when they bought the house. They paid for it afterwards through private contractors or did it themselves or whatever, right? So I just think that's an important point because I believe that's how this house got to be priced so much higher than the comparable houses that I'm going to go through. And I'll acknowledge right up front, we overpaid for this house. There's no question about that. We moved in from an acreage in the country and a mechanic situation, bought it, and then afterwards realized, man, I think we way overpaid for this. But that's water under the bridge, so to speak. All the houses that I'm referencing here, I can see them from either my front window or my back window. They're that close to where I live. They're not scattered around Sage Creek. They're right here. They're all similar sizes. You know, I have that. Everybody's looking at the sheets that I sent in there. So they're all similar sizes. One's larger. The properties are all 6,000 to 7,000 square feet, with the exception of one, which is larger. And they're all built within the last 7 years. So, you know, they're quite similar that way. So I can refer to this comparison sheet that I sent in that I'm assuming everybody has there. Is that correct?
I'm looking for it.
As our
Yep.
Okay. So if you look on there, now the way I read the instructions when they were sent to me was that I was to base this on what they called the 2018 assessed value, I guess. And that's about as much information as I can gather. I couldn't get into the detail that the assessor had there. I don't see those houses in any, I'm not a real estate agent, so I don't have access to a lot of that stuff. I use the attachments that were sent to me on an email that I could go into to look at those sales prices. So when I look on here, you can see all of these houses, the 2018, I call it AV. I think it was adjusted value or whatever the city calls it for 2018, because that's the way I read my instructions to be use 2018. See that ours is significantly higher than any other house on there that I've referenced. You notice that one of them is right next door to me. One of them is right across the street from me. One of them is right out my back window, and the other one is across the street from the one out the back window. So they're all very, very close. Very similar size houses, because actually two of these additional ones are the exact same model, Qualico model as mine. Granted, our property is bigger than most of them, a little bit bigger. One of them is much bigger than any others. You can see at 55 Borealis is 9,300 square feet compared to the other ones, which are in the 6,000 square foot range. All but one have a fireplace. They all have air conditioning, and they all have attached garages. I don't have access to the screen deck stuff and all that, but I can see them, so I know the outside at least. So, I was just going to walk through each of these photographs that I had sent in. I think you all have the photographs there. I hope you do.
Yes.
Okay, so the very first one, the one that I have identified as one, I guess, that's our home. That's our house there. So the way it stands today, picture was taken within the last couple of weeks. You could see all the information that's up there, included that adjusted value of 522, which is the 2018 value, because I don't have access to anything else. The next one, picture number 2, shows 19 Borealis Bay. So that is my exact next door neighbor right to the east of me, by like right there. Been through the house numerous times, identical home, but just a reverse layout to ours, and a different front elevation, because of course Qualico changes that up so they don't all look like they're the same, even though they are. This identical house got a little bit of a veranda in that on the front, but if we want to talk about finished basements and that, I know that today his is also finished, but I'm working on the 2018 price. And you can see there's an enormous difference in 2018 value between ours and his. Well, again, I'm laying that out to be a lot of that being the fact that this was a show home, and a lot of the improvements that he's done since were included in the price of this house. Picture number 3 is right across the street from me, right across the bay, 55 Borealis Bay. It's more of a custom built home, very nice looking house, more modern looking. Very big yard, as you can see there. Huge backyard on a pie. And again, adjusted price significantly lower than ours. Picture number 4, which is 111 Wildflower Way, is out my back window. I mean, that's the front of the house, but I can see him out my back window because it's my back behind me neighbor. Property is a little smaller than ours, but the house is quite a bit bigger than ours. You can see it's in the 1,800 and some square foot range. And again, 505,000, so significantly less than ours. And then I think the most interesting one is final, I guess, house picture, which is 5A, which is 18 Wildflower Way. So that is the absolute identical house to ours again. And it is so identical to ours that if you look at 5B, you'll see the photo that Qualico used when they're advertising it. It's actually a photograph of our house, the house that we live in. You can even see the 23 over the garage door. They put that picture in there as the house is being built, because the house wasn't built, so they had nothing else to use for a photograph. So they used the picture that they had taken when our house was a show home. I couldn't get 2018 values for that house because it's not in, I guess it wasn't really built then. So I just attached, the second page of the Qualico advertisement, which showed their asking price at $486. I can't say for sure what they got for it, but I'm familiar with Qualico, and they're not going to sell it for less than they posted it for, because then they'd have to negotiate with everyone. So, those are the examples that I have. They're all, valued at less than ours. I guess if you put yourself in my situation, especially with my next door neighbor, if my house and any of these houses, but especially my next door neighbor, if they went up for sale at the same time, because they're identical homes, we would have to cut our price significantly to come anywhere near to having anyone interested in ours. Why would you walk through our house at $520,000 and the identical house next door at $450,000, or the one further down the street, the newer one at $486,000? Why would you choose my house? They're the exact same home. So those are, that's kind of, I guess, the argument that I have. There's not much else I can say other than that. That's it, I guess. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Cupford, do you have questions?
Yeah, the new price that you have displayed on your comps here, is this pulled off of the assessment map or out of the sales books?
Sales books. That's what I was provided, so.
Okay. Were you able to determine if any of these comparables have basement finish in the sunroom similar to your home?
I can tell you that 19 Borealis Bay has finished basement, because he finished it about the same time as I did, a little bit before me, I think. His deck is not screened, and I'm telling you, I'm talking screened. So to me, it's the same. However many seasons you can use a regular deck, there's how many seasons you can use my deck. There's no windows in it. There's nothing to stop the wind blowing. His is not screened, but I don't see putting a screen around a deck as a significant issue. 55 Borealis, the basement is not finished. 111 Wildflower, the basement is not finished. 18 Wildflower, the one that has the picture of our house in their sales brochure, that basement is finished.
So if the basement was recently finished for your first comparable here, that means that it wouldn't have been finished when the home was sold, right? That's not included in the sale price?
Right. So at the 2018 point, none of these would have had finished basements. That's my comparison.
How much did it cost approximately to screen in your deck?
I'm 10,000 maybe, I think.
Okay. Is it a wood deck or one of those nicer composite decks?
Well, it's composite, but it's just a little 10 by 12. It's not some big giant thing. And that deck was already here. That was part of what the builder did, again, because it was a show home. Mm-hmm. So the builder had built the deck in the first place. So that was paid for as part of the house, not afterwards like everybody else.
Okay. Yep, no further questions. Thank you.
Ms. Billinghurst, do you have questions?
Yes. So I just wanted to clarify a comment you made. So on your comparison sheet, when you say 2018 AV, the AV does that mean assessed value or is that sales?
Yeah, in the sales books attachment that the city sent me to use as a reference point, it lists the 2018 adjusted values that the city would have valued these houses at in 2018.
Okay.
I don't have access to 2020 or anything like that. So, and the instructions that I read, the way I read them was that's what I was to use was the 2018.
Okay, so the AV is okay. I just wasn't sure if that was the assessment.
And so at that point, all of these houses would have had no finished basement.
Right.
18 Wildflower wasn't even there then, but so they're all. It's a very even comparison at that point in time.
And my question about 18 Wildflower, sorry, do you know when that was sold?
To the best of my knowledge, as I saw out the window last spring, like a year ago and a bit, would have been when my wife says it was the year before that the new people moved in. I know it says 2018, but I guess that's when the building permit would have been drawn. So.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Ms. Nesbitt, questions?
Yeah, I just have a couple as well, and it's related to the improvements that were done. Can you repeat, I'm sorry, I missed it, how much it did cost you to screen in the deck?
I can't remember the exact number, but I'm going to say 10 to 15.
Okay.
Because they did have to lift the deck up. The deck that the builder put in it had no piles under it, and we had to put piles under it, put the screen room on. It's considered a room, I guess.
Okay, and you put in a bathroom in the basement as well?
Yes,
And do you recall roughly how much that was?
the bathroom itself.
Well, to put it in.
Well, I did it myself. I'm going to say the materials in there were $1,000, maybe a toilet, a sink, shower stall.
Okay, and the basement, you finished it as well?
Yes, but I did it with a permit. It's all permitted.
Okay, and what was the value on the permit?
I don't know. I don't know if is there a value on the permit? I can't remember. It was a couple of years ago. So if I had to put a value on there, I don't know what I put on there, but I know that my taxes jumped about $50,000 when I did it. So sorry, the assessed value jumped about $50,000 over the taxes.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
So your last assessment that you received was the supplementary tax assessment following the construction of the deck screening and the basement. Is that correct?
That's right.
And so that was 580,000, or what amount was it?
Well, yeah, 580 is that. I can't remember what they call it on there, what the title of that is, but yeah, that's what they assessed it at. But I didn't use that price on anybody's home because I was told I couldn't use. For the way I read this, I'm not supposed to use that number because it's not eligible or something. So,
but you have used your pre-renovation or addition value of your home and the 2018 of the others, which might not be accounting now for some improvements that they made. Is that correct?
all right. I mean, I don't know what their 2020s or whatever are. I only know what the 2018 is because that's what I was told to. That's what the thing said to use. But you know, in 2018, none of these houses would have had a finished basement.
Mr. Kupfer, what was the assessed value on the subtax?
Before the supplemental assessment notice was issued, we were at 526. And then with the addition of the basement finish, the bathroom, and the sunroom, it was increased to 580, which is where we are now.
Same, okay. All right, that is all my questions. So thank you very much. You will receive our order as quickly as we can generate it and get it out in the mail to you.
Hey, can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
Please just keep in mind, as I was saying, if these houses all went for sale at the same time, where that puts me compared to the rest of them, they all used city's assessed values sale. Just puts me way beyond them and would cause me to have to either cut my price significantly or not sell the house. And these are right beside each other. You can see all the for sale signs at the same time. They were all for sale at once.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Am I done? Do I close?
Yes. Yes. And we will move on to 943 Dorchester Avenue.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Will you both be speaking this morning?
Think so, yes.
Yes. Okay, I will have to affirm you both one at a time. Madam applicant, please state your full name.
Kelsey Howerluck.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. applicant, please state your full name.
Gord Park.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Kupfer, could we have you go through your evidence, please? And I'll also add, don't forget about your map. Could you please go through the map as well and tell us where the comps are and if there's anything significant about the location of them relative to the subject?
Sure. 943 Dorchester Avenue, roll number 12030194000. is in the Crescentwood neighborhood area, a 2.5-story single-family dwelling constructed in 1911 with an effective year built of 1956. Living area, just over 2,700 square feet. Full basement without basement finish. 4 bathrooms, no central air, 1 fireplace, a detached multi-garage, and a lot size of just over 6,000 square feet. 4 comparables, all in the Crescentwood area as well. All 2.5-story single-family dwellings, similar to the subject. Built around the same time, between 1911 and 1920. Living areas range from a low of 2,651 to a high of 3,376. Comparables 1 and 2 have full basements, while comparables 3 and 4 have a bit smaller basements. All 4 comparables have some basement finish, although most of them are just minimal. All 4 comparables have between 3 and 4 bathrooms, with the exception of comparable number 4 there, with only 2. Comparables 1 and 2 both have central air conditioning, while comparables 3 and 4 do not. Fireplaces vary, as is laid out before you. Comparables 1, 2, and 3 have detached garages, similar to the subject, while comparable 4 has no garage. Lot sizes for the 4 comparables range from a low of 4,717 square feet to a high of 9,430 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of 503,500 to a high of 883,000, or a time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of $189 per foot to a high of $280 per foot. Referring to the map, you can see that comparable number 2 is a corner lot on Harrow there. The other 3 comparables are all mid-block. Comparable number 2 fronts onto Grosvenor. You get a little bit of traffic from that. Comparable number 4 on the corner of Dorchester and Guelph. And comparable number 1 is just 2 blocks north there, mid-block, similar to the subject. This property was purchased twice after the reference date, once in 2019 by a renovation company, and then purchased again by the current owners, I believe shortly after that in 2020. An adjustment was made for 2021 based on the renovations that were done by the renovation company. And that adjustment brought the assessment from $326,000 up to $666,000, where it is today, which is the value that we will be recommending. Thank you.
So applicants, do you have questions for Mr. Kupfer about the information that he has provided?
I have 2 questions. The first is on the basement. Would you be able to provide a little more detail on what full basement versus part basement means and what the basement finish is of the comparable houses?
So the difference between full basement and part basement is just the way it sounds. If it's full basement, there's full basement size underneath the main structure of the home. Typically with part basements in this area, it'll be like a half basement and then half crawl space, or 3/4, 1/4, that sort of thing. The other time that happens is if an addition is put on. It's pretty common for there not to be basement under the addition, in which case we'll change it from being a full basement to a full part area, which could be the case with our comparables here. Generally with houses built around this time, you tend to see pretty minimal basement finish because there's a lot of cracking usually in the basements for these types of homes, larger, older homes, and that's the reason you typically see minimal basement finish.
Okay, thank you. And then is the heating system taken into account on the assessment values? I
So
see central air, but I didn't see heat.
We do differentiate between forced air furnaces and radiator heat, which is the other common type of heating source for homes in this area and this era. So that is something we take into account, yes.
Okay. What about the age of the heating system and how functional it is?
It's a good question. Typically, if the heating system is replaced or upgraded, that'll be reflected in the effective age. That's the measurement that we use essentially to gauge the level of improvements and the level of new components that have been added to an older home. So if a home undergoes a significant renovation, the effective age gets increased. As you can see, has been done for your home as well as all of the comparables here. We tried to pick other homes that have also been somewhat renovated at least.
That makes sense. I see our effective age is that 74, 64, which that lines up for our heater system. I don't think it's been touched in that long. So, okay, those are my two questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Billinghurst, questions?
I have no questions.
Ms. Nesbitt?
Mr. Kupfer, you spoke about renovations. What sort of renovations were done?
It's a good question.
And just to clarify, you said it went from 326 to 666?
Right, it was a fairly sizable increase. So back in, before the renovation company took over, there was a renovation done to construct a 118 square foot addition to include an additional bathroom upstairs. That was one of the smaller renovations, but that was included in the large increase. We added everything at once there, which is why it was so big. The permit taken out by the renovation company lists a new detached garage. So my understanding is they demolished the old garage and added a brand new one. And then also did quite a bit of work inside the house as well. The permit lists structural alterations to include new doors, I believe, new flooring as well. Let's see what else I can find here. Yeah, the sales were done privately, so I don't have interior photos of the house, unfortunately. There's a note by the assessor who made the adjustment saying that the home was previously on the renovation company's website. So I believe that's how part of the adjustments were made based off of that.
Pardon me, it was on what website?
On the website of the company who did the renovations.
Okay.
Kingsley Wallace.
So you've mentioned a new detached garage, the addition, new floors, doors. Anything else? Updated heating system?
According to the homeowner, the heating system doesn't look like it has been updated, no. We have it as still being radiators and hot water. I'm not sure exactly if that's up to date or not. We'll have to hear from the homeowner.
Would you like us to contribute now or wait till later for the heating system?
Sorry, what did you say?
I was curious if you were waiting for us to add information about the heating system now, or would you like us to do it later?
No, we're still asking questions of the assessor.
Yeah.
All right, I thought so.
Is there a value on the permit?
Not a reliable one. They put down $5,000 for the declared construction value.
$5,000 for all of the renovations?
For the structural alterations,
Which is doors and floors?
Yeah, it's not uncommon to see unreliable declared values when permits are pulled like this, though.
Okay, aside from what you've mentioned, was there any other renovations? Adding to a $300,000 increase in assessment?
Not
adding to, but reflected in that increase.
Not that I'm aware of. Typically, when somebody goes in and makes those type of structural alterations, they just don't list them on the permit.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So all of those changes only increased the effective year from 1911 up to 1956. Tell me about the renovations that may have been done to 136 Yale Avenue, because it too was built in 1911 and went up to 1956. What renovations would there have been and when would they have been done on that property?
Looking at the property, looking at comparable one now, it looks like it has new flooring, an updated kitchen, updated bathroom. Difficult to say exactly when, but I can say fairly recently. Yeah, as best as I can say is that they're fairly similar based on the effective ages that were chosen by the assessors.
Okay, then one of the lowest effective age is comparable number 4 at 1940. What has been done to that one? What have you got recorded as any renovations done to that one?
So I would say that similar types of renovations. It looks like the bathrooms haven't been updated to the same level. It's still got an older tub, some older fixtures, but the flooring has been done, and the kitchen was done as well. Yeah, I would say that the effective ages are considered by the assessors when they make their updates. And in this case, I would say that they look fairly accurate just based on a rough view of the photos and the characteristics of the homes.
Okay. The number 4, again, it's got a lot that is half the size of your other comparables, 50% more-ish than the subject. It's in a block that has smaller lots on the whole than the block of the subject. What is the influence of those lot sizes on the value in that area? Is lot size important? Is lot size not important in the Crescentwood area?
I would say lot size is always important. It definitely plays into our value, both in terms of the mass appraisal model that we use, and also just us having a look at it and making comparisons. We'll try and find similar homes on similar lots. Of course, it's not always the case. If you look at the map, there's quite a variation between lot sizes. Some of them have been split in half. Some of them are a quarter size. Some of them are half size. Some of them are even bigger. So I would say there's definitely value attributed to a larger lot, and it is something that our model takes into consideration.
So this one's a smaller lot, much smaller time-adjusted sale price per square foot. Would you rely on this one less than you would on the other 3 comparables?
I don't know about rely on it less, but it's certainly something that should be taken into consideration when determining the value. If it's a larger lot, then you should expect to see an increased value because of that. And if it's a smaller lot, you would expect to see a smaller value attributed to it.
Well, the other 3 are similar, therefore the subject should be similar. This is dissimilar, so the subject should be dissimilar, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the subject property is right in the middle of what most of the comparables I could find. Are you familiar with a caveat that affects some areas of Crescentwood and what can be constructed and what cannot? Not overly familiar, no.
But
based on the knowledge that a renovation company went in and did a fairly substantial renovation to the home, I would suggest that at least interior wise, there aren't any significant caveats or restrictions.
okay. That's all my questions. So applicants, could we have your evidence, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what the renovation company did, because that was when our assessed value jumped by 300,000. I believe that was one of the questions. The structural work, I don't know for sure, but because I never saw the house before they did it, but I think it was fairly minimal. As far as I know, from my understanding, what they did was they did put in new floors, they painted, they replaced some of the windows, although we found out later they were rated for BC, so they're a little chilly. They updated some light fixtures, and I think that's about it.
That was it.
So it looks nice. It's a nice veneer, but I can't understand how it would add $300,000 to the assessed value of the house. I feel like we could have built a house for that, and what we're talking about here is mostly veneer changes. There were some things they did, like one of the new bathrooms. The drain in the bathtub goes in; it doesn't go anywhere. Actually, we can't drain it. In terms of the heating system, because I believe that was one of the questions asked. The information was mostly correct. It is radiator heat, although it's steam and not water heat, which means we're stuck with an old boiler. Our effective age was 1956, and I think I see a sticker on here that says 1956. You can see we're in the basement. So the first night we moved in, we actually turned on the heater to try and warm the house, and almost immediately had to call Manitoba Hydro because of a gas leak. It's a very old boiler.
We had off-scale carbon monoxide, and we were told to evacuate the house on the first night.
Yeah. So my point is that if we're talking about what would go into this $300,000, it was veneer, structural changes, heating systems. That wasn't a part of it. Moving on, I think the information on the list is mostly correct. We do, I would say, in terms of a full basement, we do have a crawl space. One of the addition that was added for the bathroom on the main floor has a crawl space under it. I'm not sure if that's relevant. I would say, with regard to the comparables, that if you walk around River Heights, the houses and the streets vary quite a bit. If you go down to Harvard and Yale from our house on Dorchester, it's obvious that the streets are much more prestigious. The lot sizes are much bigger. The houses tend to be a lot nicer. I think that is reflected in the comparables. You can see that the comp 1, 2, and 3 are all in Harvard and Yale and Grosvenor, which are more prestigious, and their lot sizes are 50% bigger than ours. Despite that, we're paying about the same assessment per square foot as those prestigious houses on bigger lots. I think the comparable that is closest to ours is comp 4, which is on Dorchester. And you can see that the assessment per square foot is quite a bit lower. I missed something in the YouTube video at the start. I think you said something is not admissible as evidence. And I believe perhaps it was other houses' assessed values. Is that correct?
That is correct. We cannot look to other assessments because you're claiming that this one is wrong. Well, those ones may also be wrong as well. That's what the courts have said. Therefore, the true evidence is the sale prices. So what we look for is that record of sales rather than the assessments.
Okay, I understand. Unfortunately, I didn't know that ahead of time. So a lot of the evidence I provided was on houses on our block, but it was based on the assessed values. I mean, I guess it's not admissible, but they're all about $300,000 less than ours now. The reason I looked on our own block is just because of what I'm talking about, which is that on River Heights, from one block to the next, there can be a vast disparity in the lot sizes and the size of the houses and the overall prestigiousness. So I think if the rest of my evidence is not admissible, then that about summarizes the information that I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Assessor, do you have questions?
Could you tell me a little bit about the kitchen? Was that part of the renovation, or was it done before that, to the best of your knowledge?
I don't know. I know that some of the work on the kitchen was done by the renovation company before us. You know, some of the information I'm not sure about.
I believe the appliances were new.
They did put in new appliances, yes. New dishwasher, new fridge, new stove.
Okay. And this was a private sale, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Did you get an appraisal done prior to the purchase?
From a broker, a mortgage broker?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Did they share what the appraised value was?
I don't believe that they did.
No.
Okay. No further questions.
Ms. Billinghurst?
Did you do any additional renovations once you moved in?
No.
Thank you.
Sorry, was that all, Ms. Billinghurst?
Those were all my questions.
Okay. Ms. Nesbitt?
I have no additional questions. Thank you.
One question. The comparable number 4 on Dorchester, that block, does it have a different character of homes? Are they different homes than on your block or not?
I would say they are much more comparable than any home on Harvard or Yale. I would say they're quite similar. That's only one block down from us. It's on the other side of Harrow. And the homes are fairly similar. Smaller lots. So smaller lots comparable to ours. Smaller, as you can see on the comps, smaller than Yale and Harvard. Yeah.
Okay. Those are all my questions. Thank you very much. We will make our decision at the end of this session and send you an order as quickly as we can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
We appreciate the time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's take a 5-minute break.
Okay.
And then we will resume. All right, so we are resuming with 821 Lanark Street. Could we have the swearing in of the applicant, please?
Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Paulo Fernandez.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Kupfer, could you take us through your evidence, please?
Number 821 Lanark Street, roll number 1207 1205 000. It's in the Mathers neighborhood area. A one-story single-family dwelling constructed in 1960, 1,826 square feet of living area, a full basement with some basement finish, 3 bathrooms, central air conditioning, a fireplace, a detached multi-garage, and a lot size of just over 5,500 square feet. Our 4 comparables are all fairly close by. In fact, 3 of them are on Lanark. They're all one-story single-family dwellings constructed between 1955 and 1960. All have at least some basement finish. Comparable 4 has only the full part area basement. All 4 comparables have 3 bathrooms, similar to the subject. All 4 comparables have central air conditioning, similar to the subject. Only comparable 1 has a fireplace, and comparables 1 and 3 have single garages. Comparables 2 and 4 have double garages, similar to the subject, and comparable number 1 also has a sunroom. Lot sizes for the 4 comparables are again fairly close, ranging from 5,457 square feet to a high of 6,598 square feet. Time-adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of $397,500 to a high of $445,600. over time adjusted sale price per square foot, ranging from a low of $251 per square foot to a high of $291 per square foot. The property was purchased in September of 2020, so about over 2 years past our reference date. No changes were made based on any sales verification or anything like that. The home is in fairly original condition or older condition when it was purchased by the current owner. So there's no change made to the assessment, but it was appealed. As you scroll down, you can see on my map here, comparable number 4 is just north of Grant, but along the same side of Lanark. Comparables 1 and 2 are both just across the street on that little bay there. And comparable 3 is a few blocks over on Mathers Bay East. The 2020 assessment for the subject property is currently set at $488,000 or $267.25 per square foot. Based on the 4 comparables, as you can see, our assessment probably is coming in a little bit high, but we'll wait to hear from the homeowner before making any recommendations. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Applicant, would you like to ask any questions of the assessor about this information that he has presented?
First, thank you for everyone for taking the time. I have one question in regards to comparable 3. Why was it I'm questioning why it's included if it's in 11 blocks away in a nicer neighborhood. It's the smallest house with the highest cost per square foot. And to me, it doesn't feel comparable. Why was it included?
It was included because it was the best available comparables for me to choose. Typically, we try and present at least 3 or 4 so that we can present a range. I would agree with you based on the fact that it's the furthest away and it's not on landmark. It's not as strong of a comparable as the other 3.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, that is all.
Ms. Billinghurst?
No questions.
Ms. Nesbitt?
No questions.
And so all of these other properties have been not renovated with the exception of that one that is at 66 Lanark, where I see that the effective age has gone up to 1965. You know anything about why that effective age was increased?
To be honest with you, I think that one was increased because it was reviewed at the time of sale. Upon looking at the actual sales listings of these properties, I would say that there's also been some minor renovations to comparables 1 and 3. And in my opinion, comparable number 2 probably aligns best in terms of the level of updates with the subject property.
Okay, those are my questions. Mr. Fernandez, could we have your evidence, please?
Of course. Previously attached via email was the evidence of the house being sold. It was 1 year ago. That was when the market was already starting to heat up a bit. It was on average homes were selling for 10 to 15%.
If you don't mind,
of course.
We can't look at sales that are what is referred to as post-reference. The reference date is April 1st, 2018. And so we can look at today's physical characteristics, but we cannot look at economic characteristics that are after April 1st, 2018. Consequently, we don't look to sales and don't spend any time on any evidence that pertains to sales that were after that date.
Okay. How do I speak to the market value if I can't reference the exact market value I know is true?
Well, on your notice information and on the information sent to you about your application, you would have received information about how to go to what is referred to as the sales books that assessment or taxation assessment department keeps and makes available to the public so that you can see all the sales. You can pick properties that you think are comparable in your area, and you see the sales there. And that is the evidence that we look to rather than either assessments or post-reference date sales.
Okay, fair enough. In that case, my evidence will pertain to the sale price per square foot of the comparables.
Okay.
And the fact that comparable 3 is distinctly higher than the rest, and even the assessor confirmed that is probably the least comparable. And so given that the house is being assessed at 267 per square foot, and the only thing that would make it in that range would be if comparable 3 was included. If you look outside of comparable 3, the assessed value of the home is above all the other comparables. And given what I'm looking at, I would find that that cost would be higher than expected, since the assessed value, it seems off compare like 1, 2, and 4. So looking strictly at the cost per square foot, it seems that it is overly high compared to the actual comparables that are in the same neighborhood. Specifically comparable 3, I'm going to point out, even if you look at the map, you will notice that it is 11 blocks away. It is in South River Heights, a distinct neighborhood that is known to be much more competitive in sales. And the price was even the most recent, which is when the market was already heating up. So I would say that comparable 3 is, if you were to ignore comparable 3, the assessed value on the sheet provided by the assessor feels off.
Okay, Mr. Cuthbert, do you have questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I don't see any permits or anything pulled. Has anything been done since you moved into the home, or did you just move in and unpack your stuff?
Moved in and unpacked the stuff.
Okay.
May I ask if we're talking about renovations? So I can't, and I'm not trying to belabor the point. If I can't bring up the sale price, how come we can reference renovations since I moved in? That seems like a time discontinuity.
Your assessment is based off of the market date that we determined. In this case, it's April 1, 2018, and the physical characteristics and condition of the home in the year being appealed. So we're looking at what it looks like in 2022 and what the market date, what the market value says it was for April 1, 2018.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, no, there was no renovations. The house is distinctly a home from 1960, wallpaper and all.
Okay. And the basement, is it like an original finish, like wood paneling and carpet down there? What does the basement look like?
The wood there's still wood paneling. There's no carpet down there.
Okay. So it's just walls and ceilings, or just walls? What is finished?
Walls and, yeah, there's like stickleboard ceiling.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay.
Is Billinghurst, questions?
I have no questions.
Ms. Nesbitt?
Yeah, I have a question. And looking at the assessor's comps that he brought, you're suggesting that comp 1, 2, and 4 are most comparable to your property. Is there any one that you would say is the most similar? Like you have 2 on Land, 3 on Lanark, 1 within the same 2 blocks, or 2 of them within the same block by the looks of it. Are they the same in terms of condition? Are you aware of anything that's, even they have a range of value as well. So I'm just trying to understand value might lie.
They do, and I'm the first to acknowledge that this is not a precise business, and attempting to compare homes is a partial guessing game, partial science, partial statistics failure, no matter what you try to do. So I acknowledge that. I would say that, no, if we're using the term comparable, I would say all 3 are comparable. They each have their own different things that may or may not line up. One has a single garage. Each of them have some things that line up or don't line up, years, assessed value, square footage, whatever it may be. And for me, if you were to go look at, once again, the sale price per square foot, those values are actually all much closer. I would still say our home is actually lower than those. I would contest if they were lower. Our house is lower because it's seen no additional changes, and it's probably being skewed by our square footage. But in terms of what this house sold for last time, not including my purchase and the comparables, I would say that we are on the lower end of that cost per square foot, and they're all comparable as what comparables are meant to portray.
Yep. Thank you.
I don't have a question for Mr. Fernandez, but Mr. Kupfer, you appeared to open the door earlier to a bit of a reconsideration. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, based on the fact that nothing or not much has been done to the home. Like I said, based on the review of comparable two, I would say that that home probably best exemplifies at least the condition of the home at the time. So I'd recommend a value in that similar price per square foot. Call it 251 a foot, so about 458,000. That would work out to knock off about 30,000 from where we have it now.
You're currently at 488. You're saying make it 458. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And that is then your current recommendation based on the square foot value of comparable number two.
Correct.
All right. Does anybody want to summarize? Mr.
Is the applicant okay?
We have a question here. Mr. Fernandez, are you okay with that value?
It's I'll use the word acceptable. I think it's still high compared to what I was leaning towards. Can I ask a question before I give an answer of yes or no under oath? In 2 years, I would be able to contest it once again based on my resale value of the home when I purchased it. Is that correct? That's how the mechanism would work?
Your purchase date was what?
The possession date was September of 2020. The purchase date was roughly a year ago, July of 2020.
2020. Okay, the next reference date is going to be 21. And then this one would fall within the time period.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see it a bit lower, but for the sake of addressing the problem and moving forward and saving us all time, I'm willing to accept that number.
Thank you very much. In that case, we will conclude this one. We'll send you an order as quickly as we can. And we will then move on to our next one on the docket.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Next one on the docket is 1753 Grosvenor Avenue. Could we have the swearing in of the applicant or applicants, please?
Hello, Mr. Applicant. Would you please state your full name?
Robert Swan.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kupfer, your evidence, please.
Seventeen 1753 Grosvenor Avenue, roll number 12097804635. It's in the Sir John Franklin neighborhood area. This is a 2-story single-family dwelling, newly built in 2019. 2,436 square feet of living area, full basement that is fully finished, 4 bathrooms, central air conditioning, a fireplace, and an attached multi-garage, and a lot size of just under 5,000 square feet. 4 comparables are spread out amongst North River Heights and Sir John Franklin. They are all 2-story single-family dwellings. Comparables 1 through 3 are fairly new, while comparable 4 is an older home that was essentially knocked down to the studs and rebuilt. The living area for the 4 comparables ranges from a low of 1,930 square feet to a high of 2,467 square feet. All have basement finish similar to the subject. All are between 3 and 5 bathrooms. All have central air conditioning. Comparables 1 and 4 have fireplaces. Comparables 1 and 2 have multi-garages, while comparables 3 and 4 are only singles. Lot size is pretty tight here, from a low of 4,810 square feet to a high of 5,237 square feet. Time adjusted sale price for the four comparables ranges from a low of 749,900 to a high of 921,500, or a time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from $348 to $410. Referring to the map, you can see that the subject is over to the west a bit from the four comparables. As you can see, comparable one, similar to the subject, also is not facing, but on the corner with Grosvenor. The subject is facing Grosvenor. The 2022 assessment for the subject property is set at $926,000 or $380.13 per square foot, which is what we'll be recommending today. And of course, the sale price that you see down there is the land value for the house was built. Thank you.
Mr. Applicant, do you have questions for the assessor about the information he just presented?
Yes, which of the four comparables was an older home?
That's 158 Cordova.
158.
That one underwent a pretty substantial renovation. According to our notes, it was basically taken down to the studs and rebuilt with some additional area as well.
And what's the value of that property?
It sold in October of 2016 for $881,000.
Okay. And what is the size of that home?
2,319 square feet.
Okay. The property that's 1,900 square feet. What's the address of that property?
That one is 51 Renfrew Street. That one was built in 2011, and it sold in August 2015 for $730,000.
Okay. And the property number 2, how many square feet is that?
2,150.
2,150, yes.
Built in 2015, sold in 2015 for $680,476. That would be without GST, so at 5%.
So 680 plus 5%, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Comparable number 3, how many square feet is that, and what is the address?
That one was 51 Renfrew. The only one we haven't talked about is comparable number 1, which is 403 Oxford Street.
Sorry, 403 Oxford.
And that one's the most similar in terms of size. It's 2,467, built in 2010, and it sold in 2017 for $905.
Okay. The property that's that 2,467. Okay, so that's comparable. That's the high one of the range, right? Okay. Allow me to come back with any further questions if I could. Let me just give you the situation.
Well, we'll wait for your evidence after we have all the questions. If you don't have any more, I'll go on to the board members.
I'm sorry, you will not allow me to go back and ask any further questions after, you're saying?
Yes, I just don't want you providing your evidence at this point, but certainly if you've got questions later on, that would be fine.
Okay, so I can go through my evidence, and if I have further questions, then I can ask those questions. Is that correct?
After the other board members and I have the opportunity to ask the assessor questions.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Okay,
we moved into this house in...
Sorry, no, you're misunderstanding me.
Okay, sorry.
Board members are going to ask the assessor questions now.
Oh, now, okay.
Ms. Billinghurst, questions?
No questions.
We'll ask or not. Ms. Nesbitt?
Yes, just a couple. Mr. Cuffer, you brought comparables from 2 different neighborhood areas. The subject is in Sir John Franklin, and you're also bringing some from North River Heights. And I appreciate you're going outside the neighborhood because you might not have sales in Sir John Franklin. But is there a difference between those two market areas that we should be aware about? Or are they sufficiently similar, and how are they similar?
Well, they're certainly similar. I would say there's a degree or a bit of pedigree towards being in North River Heights. It's a desirable area. I would suggest that in terms of location, comparable number 1 is actually probably the most similar, despite it not being in the same neighborhood area, simply because it also is on the corner of Grosvenor. Yeah, and I mean, the only other thing to keep in mind with our neighborhood areas is it's one or the other. So you could just be on one side of the street and be in one neighborhood area, and then be on the other side of the street and be in another neighborhood area. So that's why the map is so helpful.
Right. So how many blocks away is that 403 Oxford, which is kind of at the corner of Grosvenor? It's on the other side of the tracks, right? Am I seeing
That's right. That's right. The subject property is on the side closer to Kenniston, right. And 403 Oxford is all the way down close to Cambridge. So it is quite a distance away.
So is where the subject property, is that a newer area, or is that an older area where there's been, smaller homes taken down and new homes put up? Like, is it infill, new infill, or what is it there?
That's a good question. Can't really tell that based on the map that we provide, unfortunately. So the home next to it, for example, 1749 Grosvenor, is also a newly built home, 2018. The home on the other side of it, 1757, also appears to be a new build. So it looks like this block from about 1741 to 1765 all appear to be new buildings.
Whereas further down Grosvenor, they're older buildings, right? Older homes? Or
that's
maybe
right.
Some infill, but mostly older. Okay. Okay, thank you.
It's fairly obvious from the map that your comparables are all east and north of the subject. Why not west and south?
Well, when you go west, you get to Kenniston pretty quickly, and the scale and the type of home, I would say, changes. There's a lot of old military housing down Kenniston, not really anything comparable. Typically, if people are going to build nice new houses, they tend to build them in nice new areas, which is why you see more comparables in River Heights than you do closer towards Kenniston. But like I said, this block in particular, I believe was all part of the same or similar development. And these houses were all built around the same time to around the same degree. I think our assessments range from around 700,000 to $1 million or so on this strip.
Aren't you still quite a few blocks away from Kenniston at Lanark?
You would be... Yeah, I don't know exactly how to measure it. Maybe like 5 or 6 streets, 6 streets over to Kenniston.
There are no comparable sales in that area, either north or south of Grosvenor?
No new developments like this that I was able to find in a similar area.
So you were looking for comparability in that they are infill houses?
That's right. I mean, the age of the area is from like 1920 to 1960. If you look at some of the older homes in South River Heights, and using those as comparables to a newly built 2019 home doesn't go so well. So I was willing to sacrifice location a little bit to find other newer built homes.
Does that mean we should really be discounting comparable number 1 since it was a renovation rather than an infill?
Again, I try and include 4 comparables. So that one was included as number 4. like I said, based on the permit that I reviewed, it looked like it was taken down to the studs and rebuilt. So it's about as close as you can get to being a new building without it being a new building.
Okay, those are all my questions. Mr. Applicant, it's time for your evidence, please.
Okay, he's talking about, or you have questioned, I guess, how far Lanark is from Route 90 or Kenniston, and my house is equally as close to Beaverbrook as it is to Lanark, and I have a I have a church across the street, which is not necessarily something that is desirable to people for whatever reason. But my house is probably only 3 or 4 blocks from Kenniston, not 4 or 5 blocks from Kenniston. The interesting thing about the comparables, it's difficult to find comparables, of course, with infill, but this whole area is a new development, which used to be a school ground and then a dog park after that. And there are lots of houses in here. And I've cited 3 of them specifically in this development. Let me just take a step back for a second, if I could, though. We took possession in 2019, and I put it on the TIP program, and they were taking out however many dollars, and it was a smaller number, like putting the property at like $4,000 in taxes or something like that. And then I discovered that why it was so cheap was because they were using land value only, and because they had not established a value on the house at that point, or house and land at that point. And then when they did finally get back to me with the number of 926, I said that number is ridiculous. How do I go about fighting this? And they said, oh, you've missed the window for fighting it, because it took 3 or 4 months to get back to me in 2020. And so I had no opportunity of fighting it at that point. So I was charged. So I had to pay a fee. They would have added it to my taxes, or I could pay it in cash. And it was almost $11,000, and I paid $10,000 of that $11,000 approximately fee.
If you don't mind, I'll just interrupt you for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
We don't really want to hear about taxes. Taxes are not our preserve. If you wouldn't mind, do you have some sales evidence?
Yes, I do.
Comparable sales, and that's really what we need to pin a decision.
Okay. I've emailed that to you. I assume you have it in front of you. I've got. I compared.
One moment, please.
I'm sorry.
I haven't received any evidence from the applicant.
No. Do you want his evidence?
No, we'll deal with verbal.
It'll be verbal? Okay.
So you're saying that he missed the window, right? Okay, we will deal with your evidence verbally, because you did not have your written evidence in on time.
Oh, no, I just emailed.
So tell us the story.
Okay. All right. So this development that this house is built in is about, 25 or 26 houses in total. And I took a number of homes that did not have a finished basement, because one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a contract for the purchase price of the home prior to the basement being done. So I've used those as more close comparables. And so I've got 3 comparables: 398 Beaverbrook Street and 390. And what I've done is I've removed the land cost out, because the land cost plus or minus $5,000 or $10,000, each of them was around $210,000. So the 398 Beaverbrook, the assessed value was assessed at $765, and taking out $210,000.
Sorry, but I'm going to interrupt you there too. We also don't want to hear about assessed values. The legislation, backed up by court cases, say that we must look to the market, which is the sales, rather than to assessments. So we disregard frankly rather not even hear evidence that is other assessments. The courts have basically said, you're maintaining that your assessment is wrong, while those other ones might be wrong as well. So they're not the standard to go by. We must look at sale prices. So do you have that?
Well, there have been no sales in here that I'm aware of that subsequent to the original owners buying and building the homes. So there are no comparables within this one block by one block area. And so that information, of course, whatever people paid for it was not available to me or accessible to me. And the interesting thing, I guess, is that one of the, let's go back and let's talk about he's comparing not assessed value. He's comparing sales relative to what the value of this home should be. Well, there's a number of things, as you noted. Quite a few of the homes or the homes that were used for comparables are quite a bit east of the subject property, and east of the subject property puts it outside the or further away from the flight path. And I don't know if you heard when a plane flew over, and I mean I can hear it. So that's less desirable. The other thing is that as you go further north and closer to Wellington Crescent, there's absolutely no question that, like let's use 51 Renfrew as an example, there's absolutely no question that the properties are more desirable as they get closer to Wellington, and in particular north of Academy Road. I sent over, which you didn't get apparently, a contract for the purchase of this. So here is a sale, a completed house.
Sorry, but I'll again interrupt. What was the date of that sale?
The date of that sale, the subject property?
Yes.
August 1st, 2019.
Okay, so we can't look at that value either, because we must stop our view at April 1st, 2018. That's called the reference date. All assessments are done as of that date. So the assessor takes all of the sales leading up to that date and says, on that date, this is what it would have sold for. And the courts have said we must not look past that. So we can't look to your purchase in 2019.
Well, to me, that seems kind of absurd, but I understand what you're saying. That's what the courts have said. But at the end of the day, the price of this house wasn't built in 2018, and most of the homes that are in this development weren't built in 2018. They were built maybe 2018 and probably weren't even assessed or sold at that point, or certainly not information that you have. But
his job is to take the characteristics of the home when they were built and essentially take the sales that led up to April 1st, 2018 and use those to derive the value of your property.
Right. So, no, I understand that, but the most expensive sale was the I guess comparable number 4, which is 2,467 feet, which is slightly larger than what my home is, and the value of that was $905,000, and we've got a value on here of 900, I think, and 26,000 or something. Assessed value 926. So even back, right, starting at that one, and that one is quite a bit further east on Oxford. It's outside the flight path, which is definitely a factor, and it's in North River Heights, which someone there had said North River Heights has a higher value than what the area of my home is. And yet, regardless of that, my home is being assessed, and it's slightly smaller. It's quite a bit further west. It's in a flight path. It's not in North River Heights, and it's being assessed higher. And I have no idea how that makes any sense.
All right. Is there anything about the physical characteristics of the house that you would want to tell us that might have any bearing on the value?
Well, I mean, as I said, there's a church across the street, and a lot of people may not have an issue with that, but I can promise you a lot of people do have an issue with that. And the fact that we're in a more direct flight path than everything east of here, and we're not as far north as some of the comparables, which are 1, 2, 3 blocks further north. 3 blocks further north and closer to Wellington Crescent, and that puts a higher value on those homes just by being further north.
All right.
And further east. We've got aircraft noise here. We've got more Portage Avenue noise here.
Okay, I think I'll turn to the assessor now and see if he's got questions about this information that you presented.
Okay.
Mr. Cupper, do you have questions?
No questions, thank you.
You don't? Ms. Billinghurst?
No questions.
Ms. Nesbitt?
And I have no questions.
Well, I'll make this quite even. I actually don't have any questions either. I believe we have the information that we require in order to make a decision here. So thank you very much for making your evidence available to us. We will be considering this, making our decision at the end of this session today, and then we will send you an order with the assessment that will be either the same or replacing the amount you have today.
Right, I appreciate that. And one thing, obviously, which I know you're going to consider, is the fact that the comparables range, I'm missing one of them here, but from 680,000 to 905,000. And, there's absolutely no way, in the purchase price and everything else that I paid for it, would not lend itself to be, I think that the house is probably priced based upon what I paid for it, and everything that I've uncovered is probably priced close to $100,000 higher. Now I did finish the basement, which was not in the original contract of $821,000. The basement was just under $30,000. So the value in my mind should be somewhere around $850, $860, not $926.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You bet.
Yeah,
we will move on then. And our next one, we have 452 Scarfield Boulevard. Could we have the swearing in of the applicant, please?
Hello, Madam Applicant. Would you please state your full name?
Shuqing Jing.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Kupfer, when you're ready, could you proceed, please?
Number 452 Scarfield Boulevard, roll number 03066393400. This is in the White Ridge neighborhood area. It's a bi-level single-family dwelling constructed in 1990, 1,249 square feet of living area, a full basement with basement finish, 3 bathrooms, central air conditioning, a fireplace, an attached multi-garage, and a sunroom up the back. The 4 comparables, all in the White Ridge area as well, all bi-levels, all single-family dwellings, constructed between 1987 and 1997. Living areas, all quite close to the subject, ranging from 1,217 square feet to 1,251 square feet. All have full basements with basement finish. All have 3 bathrooms. All have central air conditioning. All have fireplaces, with the exception of number 2. All have attached multi-garages, and none of them have sunrooms. The lot sizes in this area are all fairly similar, all between 5,000 and 6,000 square feet, including the subject. The subject does have a medium traffic influence that's applied along Scarfield. Sale prices, time-adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables ranges from a low of 400,000 to a high of 415,000, and time-adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of $326 to $336. As you can see, the subject was purchased in 2015 for $370,000, and our current assessment is set at $430,000 or $344 per square foot. It does look like it's coming in a little bit higher than the comparables. The only notable difference in terms of assessment is that the subject has a sunroom while the comparables don't. So until we hear from the applicant, we will be recommending the value of $430,000 today. Thank you.
So, Ms. Applicant, do you have questions for the assessor about this information that he has presented?
Sorry, you're muted right now.
Okay. It's on mute right now, right?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do you have questions of the assessor about this information that he has presented?
No, I don't have question on the information that he provided.
All right. I'll turn then to the panel members here. Ms. Billinghurst, do you have questions?
No questions.
Ms. Nesbitt?
Yes, I have a question. Mr. Kupfer, you have indicated that the subject and all of the comparables are very similar in terms of size, age, everything, right? Neighborhood, everything. And that there is some difference in terms of the land influences, but they're mostly the same size of lot. The only real difference is the sunroom. Now, what kind of sunroom is this?
I'm looking at a photo of it right now. It appears to be 3-season. I don't see any heating in it. It's wood paneling interior with lots of nice big windows, carpets, and it looks like tile ceiling.
So the only real difference is the sunroom, and yet it's a 3-season. But this is the highest valued home of all the comparables. Does the sunroom have that much of an influence on the value?
Well, it's only a little bit higher than the comparables, and I think that sunroom is helping to push that value up a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's basically 15 to 30,000 more, right?
That's right. Yeah, the sunroom, we have it as 160 square feet, so probably 16 by 10. In terms of construction and market value costs, again, probably somewhere in the 10 to 15,000 range if you were to isolate it.
Okay. And then this is your comp 2, and this one are the only 2 with any sort of influences on the lot.
That's right. Being on Scarfield, they both have that medium traffic influence and are on a bus route.
And is that a negative influence?
The medium traffic influence is a negative influence. The bus route, we don't add or subtract any value for.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
No, I have no questions. So, Ms. Applicant, could we have your information, please?
Hi, dear officers. I don't have experience before, so I don't really know what evidence I should provide before. So attached documents is the form that I compare with my neighbors and my house assessment value.
I'll stop you right here because I see that this is assessed values that you have given us.
Yes.
On the information that you were sent, it might be in relatively fine print, but it does say that we do not look to assessed values to determine the value for yours. We must look at sales in the market. And that information provides where to go to get that information. You can go online to what the assessors call the sales books, which would be the actual sales prior to April 1st, 2018, that you can use to determine what the market was at that time. So unfortunately, we can't look at this. Do you have any information about sales that are of comparable houses?
No, not really. But can I ask a few questions?
Yes.
According to the assessor's brief here, I bought this house with 370,000 compared to other 4 properties. The price is the lowest one. I understand there is a sunroom compared to others. I just wondering, is that make that much difference because other people's properties are much expensive than mine?
Mr. Kupfer, can I ask you to answer that?
In comparison with the time-adjusted sale prices, I would agree that the assessment probably is slightly high, actually, at 430,000. And like I think I mentioned before, typically for a sunroom, 160 square feet, you would see a market value attributable somewhere in the 10 to 15,000 range.
Okay, was there another question there, Ms. Applicant?
Sorry, just give me a second.
Sure.
I'm wondering, since I bought this house in 2015, I didn't do any upgrade. I just wondering, is that other people do any upgrade even before I moved in? I don't see any upgrades a lot. I can recognize the previous owner changed the roof and maybe change some windows, not many. Well, it lower the assessment value.
Mr. Kupfer again?
Sorry, me?
No, Mr. Kupfer, could you answer your question with that lower?
Yeah, because my furnace, my AC is all from 1990, which is pretty old.
I would say to the best of my knowledge, these comparable homes are fairly original as well, which I think is demonstrated in the fairly tight sale prices that you can see there between about 400 and 415.
Okay. Is there anything else, applicant, that you would like to ask or statements to make to us?
Yeah, one more question. For the sunroom, it says 3 seasons. I mean, how do we define 3 seasons? Because in winter, yeah, it's not. But in summer, it's really hot, like an oven. So, and in Winnipeg, spring and fall is really short.
For us, right? For us, 3 season generally means it's not usable in the winter, or you wouldn't want to use it in the winter, as it's not heated from the home, or it doesn't have any of its own heating sources.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, I feel like the sunroom is not.
Oh dear, I lost her.
You are muted right now.
Sorry, could you hear me? No?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry, my baby is messing around.
Right.
I mean, it says 3 seasons, but I feel like no season I can use for this sunroom.
2 seasons. Short seasons. Okay, Mr. Kupfer, do you have questions for the applicant?
I just wanted to clarify. So you purchased in 2015, and what changes have occurred in the home since then?
You mean since 2015?
Yeah, since you bought the home, what has changed, or is it still the exact same as from when you bought it?
Exactly the same. I didn't change anything.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
Ms. Billinghurst?
My question was just asked and answered. Thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt?
I have no questions, thank you.
Well, my question is for Mr. Cuthbert. Are you considering a reconsideration here?
Yeah, I think we are just ever so slightly on the high end. I understand with the sunroom, it'll add a little bit of extra value. So I'd recommend, you call it $335 a foot. So about $418,000 would be my recommendation today.
$418,000 as opposed to the $430,000. Your reaction to that, this applicant?
Sorry, could you pardon me?
The assessor is now recommending that the value be $418,000, not $430,000. Is that acceptable?
Yes, I agree.
You agree? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That concludes this matter then. We will be making our decisions shortly, and we will send out an order to you as soon as we can. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And we will take 5 minutes.
Our meeting adjourned.
Our meeting is adjourned.